My very first job as an interior designer was a remarkable experience, and it really taught me a handful of things that I wasn't expected to learn as a junior interior designer. In this video, I will share with you what I learned from my very first job as an interior designer, the good, the bad, and basically all the takeaways from that experience. I know that a lot of you guys are either interior design students or are young interior designers, so hopefully this video can help you to have a better idea of what the industry is like and what is it to have a job for the first time as an interior design professional. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Andrea, and in this channel I talk about everything related to interior design. So if you like that, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell, because I upload videos every single week. I started working as an interior designer pretty early in my career. Actually, I was still in interior design school when I got my very first job opportunity. And first of all, guys, working and studying at the same time is not an easy thing, but I highly recommend that if you have the chance, you get a job while you are still in school. And there is a number of reasons why you should get a job, which I will talk about today. So let's just get right into it. So while working that job, I was able to apply what I was learning at the job in my interior design school projects, and vice versa. So this really allowed me to speed up my learning process, and therefore I was able to scale up my way in the industry fairly quickly. Believe it or not, one of the biggest advantages of working while you are a student is that you will be allowed, so to speak, to make mistakes, because people know that you are a student, people know that you are still learning, and that there are so many things that you don't know yet. So there will be more tolerance if you are to make any mistakes while you're working, which is likely to happen, by the way. I remember working my first job. One time I was sent out to a job site and I was supposed to take measurements for the property. And I went to the property, I took measurements, and when I came back to work, I realized that I had taken the wrong measurements on a part of the property, because the actual plans of the property didn't match what I had measured. So I had to actually go back to the site and take those measurements again. And really, I cannot tell you how many times I messed up during my first job, but I kind of always got away with it. But this also made me realize that it is very important that you are very focused and that you take your job very seriously. And not that I didn't take it seriously at the time, but one single small tiny mistake can actually cost you or the company, or even worse, the client, a whole bunch of money. Aiming for perfection and for precision while you are working, especially when you are starting, is very important. And if there's anything that you don't know or that you have question about, and if you're working with senior interior designers or even intermediate interior designers, make sure to always double check with them, or to always ask them if you have any questions regarding whatever part of the job. And guys, really the reason why companies are very concerned when employees make mistakes is because time is money. So when you're working with a company, especially bigger companies, they want you to be 100% efficient and productive. So always keep that in mind and try to do your job as best as you possibly can. But also do not over stress too much if you don't know anything or if you make any mistakes, because if you end up with a good company, they will actually understand that you are still learning and that it might take you a little bit to catch up on some things. One thing that happens to us sometimes while we are in university in general is that we start doubting about our career, and we start thinking, is this the career for me? Is this really what's gonna make me happy? Did I make the right decision? And actually many people drop off after the second and the third semester because school or design school wasn't really what they expected to be. So surely this happened to me at some point in my studies, as far as I remember. But working in the industry actually confirmed that I really loved interior design and I wanted to do that for the rest of my life. It actually turned out to be so much more fun than I imagined. And I believe sometimes while we are in school, there are a lot of factors that make us doubt ourselves about the career. But it might be because we are stressed and there are all these deadlines that you have to meet, and there's all this information that you have to take in, and you have to pass all your classes. There's no option for you to fail anything. So I feel like those factors really play a role when you start doubting about your career. So at least for me, and based on my experience, when I started working, I just realized that it was just so much fun to design spaces and then actually see those spaces come to life. This is very important, guys, because this can happen to you, or the opposite can happen to you. You can start working and you realize that it's not the right thing for you. And if you are still a student, it might still be a very good time to back up. Another thing that I learned from my very first job was that I was able to define my vision and what I wanted to do with my career in the medium and in the long term, and basically my whole future as an interior designer. And this might be really crazy to hear, but I will explain why working for the first time really set the path for what I want to become in the future. There are two conventional paths that you can take when you become an interior designer. The first path is working for a small or a medium or a big size company. Actually, all of us will need to go through this stage because there's really no other way about learning from the industry than learning from the professionals. When you are working for a company, you can decide to either scale up your way in that same company or to look for a bigger company, maybe a larger size company or an international company or something bigger that you can be a part of. And that's one thing you can do. The other path would be to open your own design business. So there's no wrong or right way to go. But it's very important that you start thinking about what you want to do, because depending on the path that you decide to take, you have to start taking action in order for that to happen. So I'll give you an example. If I want to work for an international company, a big developer, and that's all I want to do, I want to be part of that huge big size company, what I want to start doing is preparing a very impressive portfolio of either residential or commercial design, depending what that company focuses on, so that I can apply for that company and to increase my chances of actually getting a job offer from that company. But if what I want to do is to open my design business, then the actions that I should start taking are going to be very different. If you want to have your own design business, you have to start thinking about the digital marketing strategies that you have to have when you are opening a business from scratch. You need to start learning additional skills outside of interior design to be able to launch a business from the ground up. So I actually want to share with you some tips and recommendations for someone who is just starting their career in interior design. The first thing that you want to do when you start working is getting familiar with all the companies that the interior design company that you work with works with, if that makes any sense. So as interior designers, you may already know, we work with a lot of companies. We work with furniture companies, we work with flooring companies, with blinds companies, wallpaper, stones, cabinetry, drapery, fabrics, upholstery. So many companies that we deal with and we use their products. So becoming familiar with all those products and basically what is out there in the market is very important, especially for those of you who are planning or are thinking of opening your own design business, because at some point you will have to have a material library. So you want to know what's out there regarding materials and products and all of those things that you're going to be using every single day. And not only that, but I would recommend that you become familiar with placing orders for the materials. So normally when you place order for tile, they will ask you how many slabs you want. And these slabs are different sizes. So you do have to do a little bit of math with your, I don't know, if you're working with the floor or with the walls, on how much of what you need to order. Another common one is wallpaper. Wallpaper, they measure it by yards. So you need to know how many yards you need for a wall or for 2 walls. So it's very important that if you get a chance, you can actually start practicing placing those orders yourself. Guys, another piece of advice that I would want you to know is to learn to not take things personal. This one is something that took me a while to kind of just learn how to deal with, but business is business, and there are going to be some problems when you are just working, or some disagreements between people or between ideas, and it's completely normal. But learning to not take things personally is very, very, very important. Another thing that you want to make sure you do is trying to work on different departments. Some companies, they will have a very organized system, and they will have some designers that are focusing only on the creative process, and some other team of designers will focus on the drafting and the technical documentation, the detail drawings and all that type of work. And there will be other designers that focus on getting the furniture and all the accessories. So trying all the departments, or as many departments as you can, is really the best way to become a better interior designer, basically. Because if you are thinking to start a business, in the beginning, you're gonna be doing it all. So knowing everything is very, very important if you want to jump into the entrepreneurship life of interior design. So I would just recommend try it all and try to just learn from every way that you can when you are working for a company. And the very last piece of advice that I have for you is to learn how to identify the company that is the right match for you and for your style and for your personality. If you aren't happy enough working for a company, it might really not be your fault. There might be so many factors why you don't like going to work. That could be that you don't connect with the people, or maybe you think that you are just not growing inside the company. So try to identify a good company from a not so good company. And also a good way to tell is if you see that the people that are working there have been working in that company for many, many years, then that's normally a good sign, because they might be very happy and they're growing and they wouldn't want to go anywhere else. But if you see that there's a quicker turnaround and people come and go very fast, then that might be a red flag that you might want to watch out for. So guys, that was it for today's video. I really hope that you learned anything today, and I really wish you all the best. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.